Good evening, and welcome to the first installment of Advice from an Elf on the Inside. I give you a little idea of what this channel is about. I have a good friend who happens to be incarcerated in a federal prison right now for approximately 11 years, and he and I communicate a couple times a week via email, and we talk on the phone every week or so. And I find that in some things that I bring to him, that he gives me really sage advice. So we had this thought that he could maybe give some people on the outside some advice from a lot different perspective that maybe they don't have in their life. And at the same time, he could help to educate all of us a little bit about the federal system and the whole justice system that he's involved with right now. So my hope is that maybe this could become a thing and become monetized, and when the elf gets out of prison, he can pick this up and maybe have a channel going forward that could help him in financially transitioning back into the real world. So that being said, let's just talk for a second about, first of all, whether or not this is the right place. I don't think YouTube is the right place for this channel. It's probably a better blog or video, or not video blog, but audio podcast or something like that. But I don't know how any of those things work. I could barely figure out YouTube. And so we're going to use YouTube until we figure out a better place for us to land, if there is a better place. That being said, I'm pretty technically retarded. I mean, you can see from my hair that I'm old, and so all this stuff is beyond me. I don't understand how all these people on YouTube can sit and talk to a camera. I don't know how to do it, and it feels really silly. But I'm going to try, because I'd really like this to work for my friend. So all that aside, how did I get involved in this situation and get pulled into the elf's orbit? So several years ago, I was working in a manufacturing company. I have a degree in manufacturing, and I was working as in management in this company, and the elf was hired as a maintenance man and came in, and at that same time we were starting up a new facility, and so he and I ended up over at that facility working on getting everything lined out and all the machines brought in and all of that, and turned into very long days. The elf had just been paroled. He had no driver's license, so he was riding a bus to work. And then by the time we finished up working on what we were working on, it was late enough that the buses weren't running. So we'd end up going and getting dinner, and then I would take him home. And that was kind of how our days went. We spent pretty much a lot of our days together for months, and got that plant together, up and running, and then worked together inside that plant for a couple years, and got to know each other pretty well, and got to care for each other. So it was a good relationship. The thing that was crazy during that whole time was, I'm a big law and order guy, and I'm big for, you do the time, you do the crime, you do the time, and all that. And always thought that the prison system was run well, and that it the whole, I guess, Shawshank Redemption is where I had taken my experience from. And so to see how the system made things so tough on my friend when he was trying to get his life straightened out was disconcerting for me, at least, and very concerning. And it was kind of messing with my worldview. So I ended up, the elf ended up taking another job, then I took another job. We kind of went different directions. The elf got married, bought a house, I think in a different order, but anyway, got to where it looked like he was going to make it. And I was very excited for that because I definitely care for him. Some things went sideways in his life. Financially, got really upside down, and just didn't see a way out. But he knew if he returned to what he knew before he had straightened himself out, that he could fix the situation very quickly. So he made a conscious decision to step back into some things that were less than legal. And within a couple weeks, he was picked up and ended up in the federal penitentiary where he is now for probably the next 11 years, or I guess 10 now. I think he's been in for a year. So that kind of gives you an idea of how we ended up in each other's orbit and how our relationship developed. And so now the elf provided me with a little bit of a background bio, and I thought it was good. So right now I'll take a moment and just read that to you, and this will give you at least a feeling for who he is. A forceps baby, born in the late 60s, diagnosed with dyslexia at age 4, with total mirror vision, hyperactivity disorder, and a Ritalin baby, who stayed on Ritalin until the age of 15, and surprisingly enough, finds a state of normalcy in the use of amphetamines. I am very patriotic and believe this is the greatest nation in the world, and have been fortunate though to see and experience other nations, and can say without reservation this nation rocks despite the efforts of the morally bankrupt to destroy it. I served in the U.S. Army, and before anyone wastes time and effort thanking me for my service or thinking I'm a veteran, please stop. My service was not during any form of conflict and didn't end in an ideal manner, so save the thanks for those who are deserving of it. I possess a rather evolved political view of conservatism without being able to fully identify with the classic conservative party. I also possess a rather unique views of race and racism in America based on personal experience and the diversity of business relationships, both legal and illegal, over the course of my life that incidentally manages to offend those who choose to identify themselves or those around them based on their race rather than the merits of their character. I've always conducted myself with what I refer to as an elevated level of integrity. I have always prided myself on taking the extra effort to provide the best services and product possible. I do not steal or enable thieves by purchasing questionable items or property. I have been remodeling and building homes and businesses, as well as later in life performing industrial maintenance management in production manufacturing plants. I don't cut corners in work or leisure activities. I don't experience the emotion of empathy as a feeling. I can logically see I wouldn't want something to happen to me or those around me, but I lack the feeling attached to it that most people experience. I try to see good in everyone, and I give all one opportunity to show me their true colors. And if those shown colors don't fit into what I consider my exceptional range, I am perfectly okay with excluding these people from my circle of friends and associates. I'm a multiple conviction drug offender with approximately 40 years experience in the criminal justice system. I'm not what the left would call a victim of the drug wars. Those excuses and platitudes are for those seeking to excuse their behavior. I've heard all of the arguments of bad homes, bad neighborhoods, poor education programs, and the new catchphrase, systematic racism, and continue to run into confrontations with the willingly ignorant on this subject, because I firmly believe that every person that has experienced any or all of the excuses and succeeded knows the argument and excuses are total crap and sensationalism promoted by the left to generate votes and support. Here's a news flash for anyone out there. The moment any of us recognize the fact that something is wrong or illegal and follow that recognition by committing the act anyway, have done so with wide open eyes and have willingly forfeited any expectation of sympathy or pardon. Within the criminal justice system, the beliefs, attitudes, and efforts to promote and game the system are openly discussed by both inmates and staff. Criminal justice is a business and has absolutely nothing to do with rehabilitation or reform. And while we're at it, let me say this: nonviolent offenders in the prison system are anything except nonviolent. So if you're interested in hearing a first-hand view of what takes place within the American justice system by an inmate with no excuses and seeking nothing more than an opportunity to share personal views and provide those around me to be clear, concise, witty, sarcastic, cutting, direct, and completely honest advice in a platform, in an open forum, let the questions roll in my way. So that's the elf. He's not quite as hard as he sounds there. He's fairly direct, and he can be kind of hard. And if he's in your presence and you mess with him, he will punch you. But I lived through it, so it's not that bad. But he has a great sense of humor, and I enjoy my interfaces with him. So hopefully you guys will too. At this point, what I'd say is, if you're interested in asking anything about the criminal justice system, the things he brought up, or living in prison, please feel free to send a message, I guess, through YouTube. Hopefully I can figure out how to get messages on here. And then I'll relay those questions to the elf. He'll get back to me, and then once or twice a week I'll come on and I'll read responses, and we can discuss those things and see how that goes. We reserve the right to change anything along the way, probably per your suggestions or per us finding out that something works better another way. It'll just be interesting to see how this plays out. So any suggestions or anything like that you guys have, please feel free. We don't have any ego in this. We're just trying to do something that maybe helps people on the outside, but at the same time gives the elf a little bit of purpose and helps him with the boredom that inevitably hits them, especially with COVID and all the things that are going on there. So I'm going to close for now, and look forward to any comments or anything, and then we'll pick this up again in a few days. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you all have a great evening. Bye-bye.